welcome to our second session for the morning. Hello, everyone. The title of this session is Juggling Two 24/7 Jobs Supporting Parents in the News Industry. Parents and journalism have many parallels. Both require you to be on the job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The relentless and fast-moving nature of the news industry forces many parents, especially women, to choose between advancing their careers or taking care of the kids. Being away from the newsroom for an extended period of time can be a major career setback. So many women either don't take leave or they have to play catch up when they do. This session explores how parents can be supported as they take on both jobs of being parents and journalists. This session is supported by Google News Initiative. Before we start this session, once again, here are some housekeeping announcements. If you have any questions, please post them in the live Q&A box at the bottom. For social media posts, please tag us at hashtag Asian Media Leaders and also at WAN-IFRA. For Twitter, our handle is at newsconf, NEWSCONF. Back to this session. For this session, our moderator is Irene J. Liu, News Lab Lead APAC, Google. Irene J. Liu leads the News Lab in the Asia Pacific region. She was previously an investigative reporter and data editor at Reuters, where she was a 2017 Pulitzer Prize finalist. She also worked at the South China Morning Post and as a political reporter with the Times Union in Albany, New York. Before moving to Singapore, she taught data-driven investigative journalism at the University of Hong Kong and the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Let me now hand over the stage to Irene.
Thanks so much, Kawai. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Greetings from New York City. So it's evening for me. And so if I sound a little sleepy, it's probably because it's just very late at night. I am so thrilled to be here to moderate this panel with two amazing senior journalists from different parts of the Asia Pacific region. We have Kathy McLeish, who is a senior journalist with the ABC in Australia, and who is the co-chair of Women in Media Australia. And we also have Keiko Yamamoto, who's a senior commentator and senior manager of the news division Nagoya station at NHK. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies. Before I hand it over to you to introduce yourselves, I did want to just make a fairly significant disclaimer to this panel, which is that while the issues of balancing parenting with being a journalist disproportionately impact women. This is something that we know is an ongoing challenge in the industry. This should not be a problem or challenge that only women should face. This is something that all parents need to balance. And so our hope is that through this discussion, we'll be able to touch on all those issues. And that, a year or a few years from now, when we have this panel, we'll have a wonderfully diverse panel of both men and women who can talk about how interventions have improved the situation for all parents and all journalists. And with that, I'd love to now hand it over to Keiko to introduce herself.
Thank you, Ren, for introduction. So, hi, I'm Keiko Yamamoto. I'm a news reporter for NHK, Japan Broadcasting Corporation. It's a public broadcaster in Japan, and also I'm a news desk at the Nagoya Bureau. Also, I'm a senior commentator in charge of gender equality now. So, and I'm a mother of teenager, 14-year-old girl. And I focus on the coverage of women issues because the number of women journalists in Japan is so small number that only when I start my career 27 years ago, only 5%, but now maybe 20% of the newsroom. But problem is management level, so only 5 to 10% now. So. Thank you for having me today.
Thanks, Keiko. And Kathy, if I could ask you to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'd just first like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that I'm coming to you from, the Jagera and Turrbal people here in Brisbane, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. Thank you for having me on the panel, and I totally agree, Irene. I think welcome the day that there are men and women on this discussion having the say, discussing how to solve these issues. I think I'm the parent mother of 4 adult children, and so I've reached the other side. It's quite amazing, and sort of there have been days in big disasters where I've gone to work and haven't come back for 2 weeks, and it just doesn't matter. It's heaven, but it takes a bit of getting there. So I'm now I've been with an ABC journalist for 20 plus years. I've been in current affairs. I'm now a senior researcher and producer on a ABC television program that requires a lot of travel around the country and a lot of outback and time away from home and changing hours. And so it's been a real roller coaster ride. And one that's been an absolute thrill, and I'm still happy to be on, but definitely one that has focused me on how to make it all work as well and keep all the balls in the air.
Now, you both have, thank you so much, Kathy. You both have talked about how you have essentially successfully juggled both becoming senior journalists and rising through the ranks, as well as being parents and successfully raising your children to teenage and adulthood.
Thank you.
That's not something that I have achieved yet. My kids are 5 and 1, but
okay.
I will probably come back to you for advice on that.
Sure.
But I guess one question I had for you was, just to quickly touch upon both of your own personal experiences, making that rare rise to senior level. What were the things that helped you to be able to manage that? And then also looking in hindsight, are there any things that you would have done differently as you kind of reflect on your career and kind of your roles as parents? Keiko, did you want to start?
Sure. So I started my career in 1995. As I said, so that only like 5% of the news reporter is women. So, men dominated. And I was so shocked because I asked to my, desk, so why so small, the number of women news reporter is so, small number. And my boss said, it's so natural because, the news reporter should work for 24 hours. If the earthquake or natural disaster happens or incident or accident happens, you should go and you should work. So, if you cannot work for 24 hours, it means you are not news reporter. So when I, heard about that, so I was so shocked. And so I repeatedly proposed what I thought so important. So the decreasing birth rate issues or sexual harassment issues or, the shortage of nursery issues. But my desk said to me, it's not news. It's the priority of the news is very, very low. So I tackle with that, wall all the time, but never, I propose is, it's so difficult to become a news coverage, what I was interested in. So the reason why, and I realized, the number of women journalists is in each media is so small. But when I look at, the other broadcasters or, news agency, they were the, women journalists. So I decided to set up the Women Journalists Network 20 years ago because they have the same feeling and experience to, tackle with their boss before, made a coverage. So we, once a month, we invite the, guest speaker we'd like to cover, and, we started, studying and also the having network, and the group is growing, and now more than 900, women journalists and other professional, sectors, leader are in our groups, and it helps so much because during the like a monthly study meetings, I learn a lot, and I became a kind of specialist of the women's issues and like that issues, and it and also our member uh, cover that story what we are interested in. So it became like a kind of like a work-life balance and sexual harassment issues. And my boss said to me, it's not news, but our member covered that their own media, it's a sexual harassment issues and work-life balance is so important, and kind of public opinion, and that people awareness is raised. And my boss said to me, oh, work-life balance is so important. Like that. So that's the organization helped me so much. And our common keyword is do not quit my job, our job, keep go promotion together, because without promotion maybe it's so difficult to cover what we are interested in actually.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like the network effect was really important.
Without that,
for
it's so difficult to find how to break the wall to what we want to cover the news actually.
And Kathy, what were the things that supports that helped you along during your journey, and what were the things that you think could have been better in terms of supporting you as you were going through your rise to senior level position?
I think a lot of what you're saying, Keiko, really resonates with me. Here, when you start out, it's the newsroom is about half and half, or even more women. It feels like there's a lot of women in the industry. It's retention that seems to be the problem. As women sort of rise in the ranks, we're losing them, and they're not at the. We just don't have that parity at the senior level, and it's clear that there are. A lot of those the pressures of juggling the work family life balance are huge, and a lot of women just move on, or career progression sort of stalls. So I followed a very similar trajectory to you, Kate. I fortunately had a partner who was very is a news cameraman, and so understands the industry and was fantastic at stepping in, and we were very good at juggling between us. So I was personally very fortunate, and also really always had great bosses who to be flexible and supportive, because that thing where you just think, oh, I've got to go and pick up the kids, or something's happened, and maybe I know, sort of, I don't really want to say that it's that, because that might go against me. I have one friend who's a CEO who said that she used to leave her jacket on the chair so that she didn't look early to pick up kids. I think that cultural change really needs to happen. But we started, Women in Media was started here for exactly the same reason, because
really?
I know, and you just realise the first Women in Media event I went to, and I was part of organising, and I went upstairs, and we were running around downstairs getting everything ready for this event, and I went upstairs, and there was a row of women journalists just hard at their computers, smashing out the news and doing their job, and you just know either to run to this event or just run home to their second job, their other job, or their first job. And so they're not, we just realised they're not doing that networking naturally. It's, they come to work, they get the job done, they get home. And so the benefit of connecting between women and supporting each other and sharing experiences and starting to realise, oh, okay, this isn't just me, but also seeing successful women journalists and reporters and media women in all walks of media life, technical, digital, and seeing who your cohort is and how impressive they are and what they're doing. You don't often get to see that either in one place, and realise, well, we're really doing great things. But also that connection between news organisations, that women could start to say, hey, there's a job going over there, or, you know, conditions here are really good. And it's been a really extraordinary effect. And you know, now the organisation is built to a state that we can actually start now providing supports and courses and programs to help support that. It's just fantastic.
Oh, I mean, it's incredible what these two organizations have done in two very different geographies. But I'd love to hear from both of you, as you know, leaders and mentors of these networks. What have you heard? You know, what are your observations about structural changes that can, like, what can news organizations and newsrooms and news companies and executives do to help to address this challenge of balancing, you know, being a parent as well as being a reporter, and that, you know, kind of 24/7 job mentality?
The biggest issue is maybe the increasing the number of women in the management position or the decision-making position. If the promotion is, maybe the number is the, you know, the biggest issue. And if the women is in the, you know, boardroom, so maybe they can change the system and promotion, you know, maybe they can promote more women to that, like that. So we have a system, like a maternity leave system, or, you know, short working system, but we have system, but it's difficult to use because feel guilty to the colleagues. So as Kathy said, the boss is so important. If they have understandings, and maybe you can do that, you know, you can use the system, or, you know, like that, it's also important. So as a news desk and a senior manager, so I try to make a team coverage, because once that, you know, the children have a fever and have to go, you know, earlier, maybe they can, oh, but I have the interview, you know, with them. If we make a coverage by myself, but if we do make a team, it's okay if somebody can cover that program. So as a, you know, management level, so I try to make a team and like a kind of make a atmosphere of the newsroom. We change.
Yeah. I definitely would second that. I think it's that cultural change and that support, that, you know, and not just spoken but demonstrated. When a male boss or a female boss go home, you know, I'm going home, I'm going to my children's concert, or I have to go and do this, that kind of flexibility and understanding. I had an experience with this during COVID when, you know, everything was just up in the air every 5 minutes, and everything you thought you had planned suddenly changed. And one of our presenters came back from maternity leave early with a baby, and it just felt like we were going to be in a very remote area, and how are we going to do this? And then you just realise, well, if it was a man coming back with a newish baby, you wouldn't think you wouldn't be thinking, oh, how's that going to work? And really, so it was just a changing your thinking about that as well, just catching yourself and changing that thinking. And then also realising that there's the will of the entire team to just support that so easily and without really it affecting any, you know, having any impact. Was really heartening, to be honest, how well everybody could just, you know, step up, and how fabulous the outcome was. It was such a great result. I think flexible working arrangements in the office will make a huge difference to this for men and women, because we know that this is not just a problem for women. It's more and more culturally, it's becoming a shared role and a shared task of being a parent and having, you know, meeting your work commitments as well. I think we need to see that. I think there's and we're seeing that out of COVID, more women are wanting that. So, you know, they're looking for it in terms of a recruitment, you know, sort of draw card. organisations that offer flexible working arrangements. I think they're just sort of understanding that there's this, economic justification that if you can help with those things and make those differences, women stay. And retaining employees is a huge economic benefit.
Mm.
One of the things
I mean,
which in America, sorry, I just have one other thought, which I thought was fascinating, was that employers in America are now starting to add freezing of eggs into health benefits. So
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
a lot of things we haven't thought through yet that could make a difference.
Mm.
I mean, it's so interesting to me that both of you spoke about it's not only about systems and, writing down benefits and, having them on paper available. It's about creating a culture where people feel like they actually can take advantage of those benefits, right? That there isn't a feeling of guilt or sort of that, I'm not supposed to do this, right? I'm not supposed to take advantage of this benefit. And so I'm wondering, in both of your experiences, how do you see, how do you suggest that, that kind of more nuanced cultural change can take place?
Maybe one is like maybe as Cassie-san said, maybe, demonstration is important after the COVID-19. So it's work style of the news reporter has a lot of change. That before, maybe for the interview, we should go. And it means that it's so difficult, like early in the morning or late at night. It's impossible for the working man. But after that, maybe we can do in the online or the meeting as well. So it must be a big change. And also the demonstration is like so I'm like a desk and I said to the like a young news reporter, so you can do as well. And you can do so maybe we can choose. And also I'm in the like editor-in-chief of the evening program once in a 2 month. So 15 minutes program. So I can choose the order and maybe we can choose the what's contents in the order. And I ordered to the younger news reporter, what are you interested in? And also the viewers and audience supported that. So we can, how can I say it, visualize the impact of the diversity in the newsroom is a big benefit for the our company as well, I feel.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I underestimated when I came back to work, I had took quite a large gap to have children before and came back to work when they started school. And one of the things I really underestimated was the skills I brought back as a mother, the multitasking and things have to get done and you've got to move on to the next thing and you've got to have a lot of balls in the air. And they are very real, genuine skills that you bring back to that role.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of us, and certainly me, that confidence was a massive issue. And, and you just think, oh, people will know, if I got a Vegemite stain here in Australia or, on the back of my shirt. You're coming back with all these skills. I think job sharing, recognise that, we're really productive and we've learned that through COVID, that we're working at home. We don't have to work 9 to 5. When I went back into the office, I was shocked at how much time was just lost in people talking, and whereas at home you're just smashing away. I think in the big picture things, I think one of the really huge things we've seen out of women in media is that the will to pay it forward, that women want to share what they know and share and encourage others and amplify others and, spread the word. It's be confident, back yourself. You can do it, and we're here, and look at the great work you're doing. And so I think those kinds of things are really important. I think really big picture, national, better childcare, higher wages, close the gender pay gap, so women have a reason, so economically and flexible out in terms of lifestyle as well. They can stay in these jobs and be great contributors. I think that also. I just think, sorry, I'm just trying to think what my last notes were. I think in that kind of cultural and structural change, I think we've seen how much could happen in a couple of years with COVID. And one of the things I read this week that I really loved was UN Women Advisor Sunita Gloucester said, the projection is it's going to be 99 years before we reach gender parity, but look how fast we could move in COVID when our lives depended on it. Like, we need 100 years of progress in 10 years. And these ideas are out there. We need, and this work is being done. We need to focus on it and bring it.
It's amazing how the lessons of COVID can be applied to, and it feels like, industries don't have an excuse anymore not to tackle these very large problems, because we've seen how they can, right? When lives depended on it, right? As you said. I wanted to actually just turn now to also solutions, for both of your organizations, Women Journalism Network as well as Women in Media, and talk about kind of the work that you all have done in these organizations to support parents, as they try to navigate these transitions and kind of rise in their careers. Kathy, did you want to start?
Yeah, I'd say the ABC has really embraced working from home. It's been amazing during COVID, and the will is to keep up that kind of flexibility and give people the flexibility. So I think there's going to be, that's a huge payoff, and it's really welcomed by a lot of people. And the balance, it's great to be in the office. It's great to be able to, when you can work at home. We know how productive we are. We've seen that now. I think from Women in Media, we had a very interesting project in partnership or with the support of the Google News Initiative, who were really excited to partner with on this, and created the relaunch project here, which came off a South Korean program along similar lines, but with cultural kind of directed different ways, based on our cultural challenges. I think that has been quite extraordinary for us here. So the initial idea was that it was going to be a course that for women who were returning from maternity leave, and we ended up expanding that to women who are returning after caring duties, redundancy, because we know often it's senior women that are the first to get swept in the redundancy sweeps. And so we brought these women together for this amazing 10-week course. They spend a day a week online. There's 3 sessions each week. And the first thing we realised was the senior women were terrified of how far out of touch am I, I might have, what's going to happen with the digital, what do I need to know that's new? And the younger women were able to bring a lot of that confidence and information and support. The younger women, were able to hear so much about how to navigate the organisation, the big picture, long-term experiences that you build and knowledge that you build. So the sharing has been amazing. The support that's been built in this group is fabulous. And they're amplifying each other. They're sharing the message. Everybody's seeing it. It's really, really exciting. And what they've done is created on confidence, personal, professional and networking. So they saw it as being a 3-part sort of attack. So confidence, we know, is huge. Things like, so they've been taken through things like how to do your LinkedIn, brushing up your CV, your own personal branding, and really talking about getting those things out there, how to do it, and how to do it with your own nuances as well, whether you don't like putting it out there or you do like putting it out there, how to do it. about digital and technical, and also building a network and hearing the experiences of other people who've navigated the same kinds of issues. So those things have been really powerful. But the pay it forward thing is amazing. And often when we do an event or we have something, we are contacted by media women who want to buy a ticket for some young journalist to come or a young media woman to come. It's just this generosity of spirit is amazing.
It's incredible. And Keiko, your network is now over 900 journalists.
I was so surprised that Kathy's, what she said is a kind of same as our, our network. So we have a professional, we have opinion leaders and also the professional field members as well. And I recommended to be our younger news reporter to be a professional and can make use of our network, because in our network we have professionals and lawmakers and bureaucrat, and also so many field of the leader, so we can interview with directly. So even the young news reporter, so we can give them the chance to and be a professional what they want to, and also that's a strength once they have a maternity leave, but everybody said she or he is she is a professional, and we need her in the newsroom. So we support and be a mentor and support, and it means Casey said to pay forward. So I'm so surprised.
The power of the
network and the kind of sisterhood, I feel.
Incredible. Well, I'm going to take a pause right now and ask if there's anyone in the audience that has questions for our panelists or anything else. Please do type your questions into the live Q&A. But while we wait for that, I am going to ask another question, which is for both of you, what in your mind would be your ideal future, state for this issue? If we were having this panel in a year, what substantive changes would you like to see that newsrooms are implementing or doing to help to address this issue?
I'd like to change the the news show. It's like a men and women or like that. So break the stereotype. So maybe the women and also the LGBTQ people, and maybe the more diversity in the news show. The background is more diversity in the newsroom. So I'd like to improve or progress that diversity in the newsroom and support to be there.
Kathy?
I'd like to see more flexibility. I'd like to see the flexibility that we've, flexible working arrangements that we've been experiencing entrenched further and further developed. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see management really invest in bringing women up the ranks and keeping women in the industry, and making that explicit so that women know that those avenues and that support is there from the organisation, and not feeling like I'm going to be the first on the chopping block when the redundancies come. I think if industry wants to get that equity and they know that there's an economic justification for it, they know what the benefits are, then they really have to step up to the plate.
Amazing. Well, thank you. I guess I haven't seen any questions come up in the chat. And so with that, sorry, Kathy,
just before we go, I have just seen a comment in the discussion forum from Rossi who is the new president of the Fijian Media Association.
Oh, congratulations!
Media over there. So hi, Rossi. She says, "Bulla, Kathy." So it's so exciting to see these organisations rising up, and now we just need to connect with each other internationally as well.
Yeah, sure.
That sounds like a perfect action item for Google, for us to help convene all of these incredible women's networks.
Yes, please.
To have
It's
you
good.
all share your best practices,
Yeah, sure.
and these types of programs, because I mean, if I can wrap up and summarize the kind of top themes that I've heard from both of you. First is create the benefits that can help support parents as they are navigating parenthood and working newsroom. But just as important, if not more important, model behavior from leadership down to actually take advantage of those benefits and not make people feel that they will be penalized for taking advantage of those benefits that level the playing field. Support networks and support each other to create a more equitable environment. And as an action item for Google and for others, create opportunities to convene these incredible networks together across borders.
Good. And maybe it's important to enjoy, be a mother or, parents, and also a news reporter is important. So it's, not hardship to,
No.
both or like that. So I'd like to change the image of that.
No, they're the best jobs in the world, being a parent and being a reporter. So let's make sure that people can do both at the same time.
Yeah. Very
amazing.
Lucky.
Exactly. It's such a privilege. Well, it's been a privilege for me to be able to speak with both of you, Keiko and Kathy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for staying up late for us, Irene.
No, it's a privilege and a pleasure. So thank you so much, ladies. And yes, next time we will make sure that we have more diversity in our own panel when we talk about this. And now I'll hand it back over to Kawai.
Thank you, Irene, and our panelists. And maybe next time you can include me as a parent.
Sure.
This is a share.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. Well, if you want me to share right now, it's my wife. I recognized very early on that she was going to be the star performer in the family. So I gave her every support that she needed, and she ended up as a CFO of a quite a major company in Singapore. So that's my story in a minute. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we hear that story a lot. Men are so supportive.
Yeah. So thank you very much for the very educational and informative session. There were so many interesting stories and suggestions and ideas in the presentation. I hope many organizations take away from this session many tips on how to make the workplace better for parents. In the news industry, we all know diversity is definitely essential, and that's really important since that's the best way journalism can best represent our societies and communities. Moving on, after this session, please visit our sponsors in our virtual marketplace where you can download information about their products and services as well as watch their videos. You can also find their contact details to connect with them. Our next session is titled The Newsroom in 2022 and Beyond. There are two sessions. There's a hybrid newsroom, which is sort of a broader follow-up on this session that just concluded. If you like that session, you must not miss this one in the afternoon, and it starts at 3 p.m. Singapore time, 2 p.m. Jakarta. Following that, at 4 p.m., we have another newsroom session called Newsroom, Artificial Intelligence in the Newsroom. Sorry about that. Thank you very much for attending this session and for this morning, and see you later.